Hi, folks. Jennifer Wood with the Residuals program. I want to thank you, Paul, and encourage everyone to check out that link. Paul is a great speaker and does a great job explaining that very complex program. So let's talk about PFAS and residuals a little bit. All right. So New Hampshire DES began a few years ago testing PFAS in residuals. Residuals being the product described by Leldon previously, and they shared that information with MassDEP. Next slide, please. This information was data, the samples were collected by New Hampshire DES personnel. The samples were analyzed by one laboratory, and they represent biosolids, paper production, and water treatment plant products. So we have a good range of information to look at. Now, I just would like to note here that all analyses and all interpretations of data are not those of New Hampshire DES. MassDEP has done these analyses. The data is from New Hampshire DES, but they did not take part in the analysis of their data. Next slide, please. This is a view, a graph MassDEP put together. Again, this was not done by New Hampshire DES to look at a way to look at their data, New Hampshire DES data. You have a range, right? I'm showing the 6 MCP PFAS compounds here. And you'll see a few gray bars. Those gray bars represent data at the reporting limit. Now, a reporting limit is the data value that a laboratory is reporting comfortably the lowest value of data. The lowest value that they deem to be accurately reportable. So the gray bars represent data that is indicated at less than the reporting limit, indicated here at the reporting limit in gray. Other values, you can see a spread. This is an average, again, calculated by MassDEP. In order to give you a bit of insight, you see biosolids described by Leldon previously as being those from a wastewater treatment plant, typically a publicly owned treatment facility, POTW. SPF, as described previously, a paper product, and water treatment plant sludge. So we have a bit of information to just start looking at. Next slide, please. So we had to start looking at this information and start making analyses. What do we see here? We're not seeing a pattern in residuals data. Of the 6 MCP compounds, PFAS, PFOS, so of only those 6, I know there's variability, but we're just talking about these 6. PFAS is generally detected at the highest concentrations from what we've seen in the New Hampshire data. Short paper fiber, a paper product, SPF as it's known, has fewer compounds above the reporting limit. And there is a range, as you just saw, of reporting limits, known as RL. I'd like to note that higher percent solids of residual does result in a lower RL. That's what we're finding, we're seeing, we're hearing. Reporting limit can widely vary by laboratory, product, and compound. This is generally what we're seeing of the information, again, that New Hampshire shared with us. Next slide, please. So how about PFAS in Massachusetts, PFAS in residuals in Massachusetts? Let's look into that. Next slide, please. In January 2019, as we started getting a lot going on in 2019, MassDEP focused on PFAS in residuals and added annual PFAS testing requirements to AOS renewal. AOS is being those documents that Leldon was describing previously for residual use in Massachusetts. That was in January 2019. Just not long ago, in August 2020, MassDEP began requiring all AOS holders, so everyone now, to begin quarterly PFAS testing. This was done in order to increase the available information of PFAS in residuals and to give a better sense of variability. I'd like to note that MassDEP is beginning to receive this data and perform QA/QC on this data. Next slide, please. Laboratory testing. This is tough stuff. We're all aware this is tough stuff. So this is where it gets. This is all tough stuff. This is where it gets tough. So there are methods for testing of drinking water samples. They are approved methods for trading of drinking water samples. As you see here, EPA method. However, the other samples, the ambient water, soils, wastewater, and residuals, they don't have a regulatory standard. Sometimes people refer to testing of those products as using a modified method. But that is not that does not have a regulatory standard. As a result, what MassDEP did was to begin reviewing and approving individual laboratory standard operating procedures, their SOPs. At this time, there are 5 laboratories that are approved for testing PFAS in residuals. Next slide, please.